Ready in less than 30 minutes, Instant Pot Hamburger Helper is a simple, kid-friendly, one-pot meal. Hi everyone, Kristen here. As someone who suffers from a chronic disease, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. I recently asked you what recipes you wanted to see, and the #1 requested recipe was Instant Pot Hamburger Helper. So I am so excited to bring this recipe to you today. In fact, many of you know that I've had to take a few weeks off filming to recover from some health issues, and during that time, I needed easy recipes that my family could make me while I recovered. And this was one that they could handle, even my husband, which is more impressive than my teens cooking dinner. It's simple, it's easy, it's fast, and most importantly, everybody loves it. So let's get cooking. To get started, we're gonna hit saute on our Instant Pot and add in about 2 teaspoons of olive oil and let that heat. Once my oil's heated, I'm adding in a pound of lean ground beef. You could certainly use ground turkey or ground chicken, whatever you like. And then we just wanna saute our meat here, breaking it up as it browns until it's nice and evenly browned and cooked through. Now you could certainly add a minced onion to this meat mixture if desired. However, part of the appeal of this recipe is that it's picky eater approved. And a lot of picky eaters don't like to see little bits of onions. Trust me, parents, I feel ya on this one. All right, my meat is looking nice and brown, and so I'm going to hit cancel on my Instant Pot to turn off the saute function. And at this point, you wanna look at your meat, and if it's rendered off a lot of grease, you wanna remove your inner pot and drain off that grease. And then you can return your inner pot back to the pressure cooker. And you know the drill, anytime that we use the saute function on our Instant Pot, we must deglaze our pot to prevent a burn notice. To do this, I'm adding in 3 cups of low sodium beef broth, and then I'm just going to use my spatula here or a wooden spoon and scrape up all those brown bits on the bottom of the inner pot. That looks good, so now for the seasonings. I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Use less salt if you're following a low sodium diet or if you didn't use low sodium broth, as I did. And then 1 teaspoon of paprika. I'm also adding in 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, which is really going to add an incredible depth of flavor to our hamburger helper here. So we're gonna give that a stir just to incorporate those seasonings. And now for our noodles. I have 3 cups of dried elbow noodles. You could use white pasta, you could use wheat pasta, you could even use gluten-free pasta as long as you use the Barilla brand of gluten-free pasta. That's the only one that I've found that's worked when cooking under pressure. And now we just want to gently push our noodles down into the liquid just so that they're submerged and cook evenly. And then finally, I'm adding in an 8-ounce can or 1 cup of tomato sauce right over our noodles. Don't stir that mixture in. Simply pop the lid on the Instant Pot. Make sure your venting knob is pointed towards sealed. And then to set cooking time, we're gonna hit manual or pressure cook, and we're going to cook for 3 minutes on high pressure. Once the cooking time has elapsed, you wanna let your Instant Pot be, just don't touch it, for exactly 5 minutes. That's going to give the pasta exactly the amount of time it needs to be cooked but not mushy. After 5 minutes has passed, we need to do a release of any remaining pressure. To do this, you wanna use a long wooden spoon or put a pot holder on your hand and knock the venting knob from the sealed to the venting position. Be sure to stand back so that you don't get burnt by steam, and just give it a minute there for all that steam to be released. Once it's released, you can open up the Instant Pot. And we want to stir this mixture just so that we break up the noodles and we incorporate that tomato sauce evenly into the hamburger helper here. At this point, if you were craving a cheeseburger version of Hamburger Helper, you could add in a couple cups of shredded cheddar cheese or diced Velveeta cheese, whatever you like, and then just pop the lid back on and let it sit for a couple minutes to melt that cheese. But I'm gonna keep it plain today, just like my husband grew up eating. Although he states this is a million times better than the boxed version he knew in his childhood. Dish that up there. And then I'm gonna go in for a bite. The noodles are perfectly cooked. And while I did not grow up eating Hamburger Helper, this reminds me a lot of a dish that my mom called Johnny Marzetti, or some people refer to as American goulash. It's super simple, it's super kid-friendly, and it's really just comfort food. If you're looking for more one-pot favorites, be sure to check out my next recipe where I share with you how to make Instant Pot taco pasta. Until then, happy cooking.